Guys, have you ever felt like there's something deeper going on between two idols, something that isn't just friendship, not just teamwork, but something intentional? Because today, we're diving into something that has been quietly circulating, something that fans have been whispering about, analyzing, connecting piece by piece, and now, it's starting to feel too real to ignore. What if I told you that Jimin and Jungkook, yes, those two, might actually have a special agreement between them? Not just a casual promise, not just something said in passing, but something that could actually reflect a deeper level of commitment, a bond that goes beyond what we usually see on the surface. And the craziest part? The clues have been right in front of us this whole time. Now, before you scroll or think, oh, this is just another fan theory, hold on, because what we're about to break down isn't just based on imagination. It's based on patterns, repeated behaviors, subtle words, and moments that, when you connect them, start forming something that feels way too intentional to be coincidence. And if you've been part of this community long enough, you know, Jimin and Jungkook don't just accidentally do things. There's always meaning behind their actions. Always. Think about this for a second. How many times have we seen them prioritize each other in situations where they didn't have to? Moments when schedules were tight, when the pressure was high, when the spotlight was overwhelming. Yet somehow, they still found a way to check in on each other, to stand close, to subtly reassure one another. That kind of consistency? That's not random. That's not something you fake over years. That's something built on understanding and possibly agreement. And here's where it gets interesting. Because there have been instances, small but powerful, where both Jimin and Jungkook hinted at having rules or understandings between them. Not explicitly spelled out, not fully explained, but mentioned just enough to make fans pause and go, wait, what did they just say? And when idols drop hints like that, especially those two, you know it's not meaningless. They're careful with their words. They know millions are listening. So why say anything at all if it didn't matter? Let's talk about one of those moments that really shook the fandom. There was a time when Jungkook mentioned always wanting to improve himself, but not just for himself. He said something along the lines of wanting to be someone worthy, or someone who doesn't fall behind. Now, at first, it sounds like typical self-growth talk, right? But when you look at who he constantly compares himself to, who he looks at during performances, who he smiles at after finishing a high note, it's often Jimin. And the same goes the other way. Jimin, who's already known for his discipline and perfectionism, has openly admitted to pushing himself harder when he sees Jungkook improving. Almost like they're keeping pace with each other. Almost like they agreed not to leave each other behind. And guys, that's where the idea of a special agreement starts to make sense. What if, at some point, they made a silent promise? To grow together, to support each other, to stay connected no matter how intense things get? Because, let's be real, being in a global group like BTS isn't just about talent. It's about endurance, mental strength, emotional stability, and having someone who truly understands you in that chaos can mean everything. But wait, it gets deeper. There are also those quiet, almost blink-and-you-miss-it moments that fans have caught over the years. The way Jungkook instinctively looks for Jimin in a crowded room. The way Jimin immediately notices when Jungkook is even slightly off. The way they mirror each other's energy, whether it's playful chaos or calm silence. That kind of synchronization doesn't just happen. It's built over time, through shared experiences, through trust, and possibly through promises that only they fully understand. And then there's the emotional layer. Because if you've ever watched their more serious conversations, the ones where the laughter fades and the honesty comes out, you can feel it. That unspoken understanding. That sense that they've seen each other at their best and at their lowest. And instead of drifting apart, they chose to stay close. They chose to keep showing up for each other. And that choice, repeated over years, that's what turns a bond into something stronger. Something intentional. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, are we reading too much into this? And honestly, that's a fair question. But here's the thing about this community. We don't just look at one moment and jump to conclusions. We observe patterns. We connect dots. And when the same type of behavior shows up again and again, across different years, different settings, different moods, it starts to feel less like coincidence and more like design. And let's not ignore how they talk about each other. There's a level of respect there, yes, but also something softer. Something more personal. Jungkook has, multiple times, expressed admiration for Jimin in a way that goes beyond just he's talented. There's pride in his voice. There's warmth. And Jimin? The way he looks at Jungkook sometimes, it's like he's seeing not just who Jungkook is now, but everything he's been through to get there. That kind of perspective doesn't come from distance. It comes from closeness. From being part of each other's journey in a very real way. And here's a hook you probably didn't expect. What if this agreement isn't even about something big and dramatic? What if it's something simple, but powerful, like always being honest with each other? Or always supporting each other publicly, no matter what? Or even something like, no matter where life takes us, we don't lose this connection. Because sometimes the simplest promises are the hardest to keep. And the fact that they seem to have maintained this level of closeness for so long, that says a lot. But then again, there are also those moments that feel almost too perfectly timed. Times when one of them seems to need support and the other shows up almost immediately. Times when their interactions feel intentional. Not staged, not forced, but chosen. And when you see that happen repeatedly, it makes you wonder, are they following something? A guideline? An understanding that only they know? And let's talk about the fans for a second, you guys. Because this community has been incredibly observant. You've noticed the patterns, the small details, the changes over time. And while interpretations can vary, there's one thing many people agree on. Whatever Jimin and Jungkook have, it's real. It's not something created for the camera. It's something that exists whether we're watching or not. And maybe, just maybe, that's where the idea of commitment comes in. Not in the way people usually think, but in a deeper, more human way. Commitment to growth. Commitment to trust. Commitment to being there, even when it's hard. Because in an industry where things change fast, where relationships can fade under pressure, choosing to stay connected is powerful. So the big question remains, is this really proof of a special bond, a hidden agreement, a deeper commitment? Or is it simply the natural result of years spent growing up together, facing challenges side by side? Honestly, it might be both. And maybe that's what makes it so fascinating. Because not everything needs to be labeled to be meaningful. But I want to hear from you guys. Seriously, what do you think? Have you noticed these patterns too? Do you believe there's something more behind their connection, or do you see it differently? Drop your thoughts in the comments, because this is exactly the kind of conversation that makes this community so special. And if you enjoyed diving into this with me, if you felt that curiosity, that excitement, that wait, this actually makes sense moment, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive. Because trust me, there's always more beneath the surface, and we're just getting started.